All right, so today I'm going to compare 7 different high-end sable-haired brushes for miniatures painting. I needed some new brushes. Been a long time since I bought myself a nice brush. Started doing some research online, quickly found that there's just so many opinions out there and no real one source of the truth. So I figured, you know what, I'll just buy a bunch and then see what I like and I'll know for the future. So from left to right, first we have this Isabey Kolinsky from France, #1. It's very, very thin. The ferrule is very small, very long brush, almost like a liner, but this is their round #1. Then we have the classic Winsor Newton Series 7, also #1, much larger than the last one, but pretty thick ferrule as well. This is not the miniature brand. This is the standard Series 7 from Winsor Newton, so it is a bit longer. The miniature brand is a shorter brush, which I don't prefer. Then we have the Vinci Maestro. This is the high-end, more expensive Da Vinci from Germany. #1, you can see it's quite large for #1. Then the Da Vinci Ussuri, it's a #2, and actually has a smaller set of brushes, so not all sizes are created equal. Then we have the Escoda Reserva Tajmyr. This is their highest end sable-haired brush, #1. Quite thin, not quite as thin as the Isabey, but almost not quite like a liner, but still very, very long, very thin. And then finally, coming in over here, we have the Raphael #1, which is the largest brush. This #1 is almost twice the size of the Da Vinci #2, so it's all relative. As for paints, I have this Daler Rowney ink right here, this flesh tone. I have a old school Vallejo Magic Blue, and I have scale 75 walnut, so quite a variety of paints. And you can see I actually mixed a tiny bit of the walnut in with the flesh to provide 2 different tones, do a little bit of blending on these models. So I'm working on a Blood Bowl team of halflings, and you can see I have 4 halfling linemen here already based out and inked down a little bit. And then I have a tree man who's just been base coated with an initial shade put on them. So I'm going to do some highlighting, do some glazing, do some just some lining, and see how this all goes. So first off, we'll do blue on the lineman here. Start with the Series 7. I've used these in the past. I've always been a fan, but I haven't used them for a while, so it's been about at least 5 years since I bought a new Winsor Newton. So here we go. Water here. As you can see, the paint's fairly thick here. It's not soaking up all the way, so I am doing some pretty bright highlighting. Get a little more water in there. There we go. And then you see that nice pickup along the brush. Okay, yeah, paint comes right off immediately, very bright and intense. Get very fine points there if you want. I mean, it works exactly as how you'd hope. Let's see here. Do another quick second layer. Get a little brighter towards the top. Yeah, it's a nice brush. Paint flows on easily, flows off easily, cleans nicely. It does get a little stuck in the ferrule. Let me wash a little more. All in all, very nice. Isabey #1. This one's super skinny. I'm a little nervous about this one. Shoulder pad here, gonna pick out that edge. Yeah, so you can see here, I'm struggling a bit to get paint to come off the brush. It does make very crisp points though. Look at that, no paint's coming off at all. So thin at the point. Yeah, so not gonna recommend the Isabey off the gate. This is not a round brush, even though it's sold as such. It's really a liner. I'll come back to this one and maybe we'll do some shading or lining with it, but right now this is not what it says in the tin and not what I signed up for. The hairs do seem high quality. Obviously it's sable hair from France, but it's just such a slender, thin brush. I really am struggling. Here, let me water this paint down a lot, almost like an ink, and try it. Or a glaze, rather. Should probably be thinning this with medium, but we're doing a video in a hurry, so let's try again over here. Come on, get that edge. Yeah, no, this is not. This is only to be used for lining, I think, or maybe doing some lettering. It's just too thin for miniature painting, in my opinion. All right, So Isabey, that's probably out. That was quick. Let's go on to the Da Vinci. I'm nervous about this one and the Raphael because they're so large. I generally paint with brushes on the smaller side based on what I see the pros doing, just because I'm not the most accurate in my hands, but we'll give it a go. Nice smooth color up there. Oh, it really just pulls right into the brush there. I did not put it down that far. You can see the paint's just coming right up easily. We'll just pick out his leg here and get a little brighter on the top. Oh wow, yeah, this is a nice brush. Paint comes right off, very smooth. Oh yeah, you see that was my mistake. I got a little down too far on the brush and got an air bubble in there. Pushed too hard. Here, let's come over this way. Now it has this one hair sticking out all the way at the end, tiny point, which is nice in theory, but in practice it means that where I visually see the end of the brush is not where it actually is. Let's try and come up here and put a little bit of another line up there. It holds a lot of paint. I'm going to pull out the miniature. It needs a bigger highlight. This helmet. See, this is probably better for larger figures. It's just so big. Let's pick up that light there. There you go. I'll come back and paint some chips and damage on this guy later. But I'm gonna try to highlight the bottom edge of this chip in his helmet and see how accurate I can be here. Oh no, not too bad, but still very large. Come on. Yeah, too big for the job. Holds paint really well. Maybe get a 0 or something smaller, but the very high quality hair, but it's just very large for a 1. I'm gonna go ahead and try this. It's, when I'm painting with very watery paints over large surfaces, larger brushes help. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this with the Daler-Rowney inks. Love this paint, but it can be tricky to work with because it doesn't mix well, and you can't shake it or it gets bubbly, but it does flow amazingly well. So I'm trying this fat guy's belly here. Yeah, wow, it almost flows too well. It's coming off too fast. Take some paint off. Yeah, this is a great brush. You can see I can get multiple layers by moving the paint around in the miniature, and if I push down, more comes off. If I was a pro, I could probably do some really cool stuff with this, but I'm just going to try and shade this upwards towards the light and move on. Yes, I can darken it down by just adding or removing this ink with the brush. Let's take a little bit off and spread this out. There we go. And get a highlight on that belly button. Cool. All right, on to the next one. We have who's up next? Oh, the other Da Vinci, the number 2, which is again smaller than number 1, the Ussuri Sable brand. This is supposedly not as high quality of a sable, but it's still all natural sable hair. And let's go ahead and do the test with the blue. I really haven't done blue yet. Yeah. Noticing the paint maybe doesn't come up off the palette as well. Let's try it again. No, it's all right. It's pretty good. All right, and then let's do just another simple highlight at the very top of this helmet. Get those layers going. Seems like a nice brush to me. Let's see if I can get this notch in the crack. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I made a tiny little line right where I wanted to. Yeah, this is great. This one's actually a bit cheaper, and so far I think it was definitely a recommend. Obviously, just one color doesn't mean everything, but it paints as well as the Series 7. Yeah, it's really easy to see the point. The point is small enough to do detail, but you don't lose it with errant bristles, which can be a problem with cheaper brushes. Not this is cheap, but it's cheaper than the Maestro. It's a nice brush. I'm gonna try something else with this brush. I'm gonna do some edge highlighting here on the tree man. Pretty boring everyday task, but drier, thicker paint. Let's just see how it does. I'll pick out this guy here. Yeah, this is just like the boring stuff you do while you're watching TV. Let's see here. Not bad. Doesn't hold a ton of paint. I think that's the one thing I would say negative about it is you can see I'm already kind of about to head back to the palette here. But so far the Da Vinci's overall very nice brush. We have the Escoda and the Raphael next. I'll go to the Escoda. It's a bit small. I'm worried it's going to play more like a liner. Also very stiff. But this is highly recommended in the artist community. This is the Kolinsky Tajmyr, made in Spain, with supposedly the finest sable hair from Russia. We will find out. But softened up right a lot with water. Let's see. Let's do the highlight on the helmet. Well, paint does come up very quickly. All right, who haven't we done yet? We'll do your shoulder. Comes right off very cleanly. Look how bright that is. That's actually really impressive. It's the full pigment's very bright right away, very smoothly. It's not very watered down paint. It's coming out. It's still coming out very easily. We'll water it down a bit more and try to do a bit of a glaze to pull that purple shade up. There we go. Yep. Smooth off that line there. Yeah, it's a nice brush. Let's see here. Do an edge highlight on the pants. Yep, no problem. This is a great brush. See, the paint comes right off. Small amounts or larger amounts just by adjusting the pressure. Very sharp point. I worry about these sharp points that they don't last, but yeah, this is a really nice brush. Let's try with the ink to see if anything different happens. Both in the middle here. Get a little darker shade in there. Look at that, just sucked it up like a vacuum. And then let's try and shade this belly down a little bit. Oops. Oops. Pick out some knuckles. Yeah, let's come back across that with a wash. This color is too bright from where the shade was at, but that's part of the process. Yeah, I'm picking out tiny little knuckles there with no problem. Get the nose. Yeah, this is great. Look at this guy's goofy smile. He doesn't know he's about to get killed on the Blood Bowl field. All right, this is a great brush. This one might be my favorite, actually. And now the giant Raphael. Let us go start off with the blue. Let me see what I can even do. It's so large. Let's try and pick out this guy's shoulders and back. Paint flows wonderfully. Yeah, I see. I couldn't quite. I was trying to pick out that chip in the back plate with an underneath highlight there, just where the light would catch it, but I can't quite get small enough. But the paint does flow off it wonderfully. I think maybe if you're into Raphael's, you'd already know this, but you should probably just order a size down from what you were planning on. And let's see what else we can do on him. A little more blue in there. Oop. Cat hair, the hobbyist's worst nightmare. It's a nice brush. The paint comes right off. I mean, you can see I got a very smooth, even coat there. This could be a phenomenal brush for this miniature if it was just a bit smaller. Let me try it on the larger miniature. It holds so much paint, which is, if you're painting a large miniature or a lot of miniatures at one time, could be very effective. Let's see what we want to do. We'll just start building up on the shoulders here. Oop, get a little better point than that. Okay. Yeah, this is a great brush. Just very large. It's getting a weird double point there. Why are you doing that? Now we're back. It has a tendency not to keep its point. I don't know if it... These are branded out of the package. Maybe to break in a little bit. I mean, the hair is phenomenal quality. The paint flows right off. No pressure being applied at all. I'm a little worried it's not keeping its point quite as sharp as I'd want, but also it's a very large brush, so I wouldn't be using it for fine details anyway. Yeah, it's nice, but I wouldn't rate it as highly as the Escoda or the Series 7. Again, I want to try this brush again with a smaller size. It's difficult to compare because it's just so big for number one. I mean, this look, it's longer than my pinky nail. It's very thick. All right, quick recap, if those of you are still with me here. The Isabey really came out more like a liner. I'm going to go double check, make sure they didn't send me the wrong brush by the SKU, honestly. It's not the way, what I'd call a round, pointed round brush, number one. Hair's probably fine, but it's just not the brush I'd use for these tasks. Both the, I say the most disappointing one is probably the Vinci Maestro. It was not a cheap brush and it's supposed to be very high quality for watercolors, but it just didn't perform in any exceptional way. And I don't like that super long, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's got like this super long and super fine tip that sticks out very far, and you can't really see it. And so like if these few hairs at the end, they're going to catch the edge of your miniature before you intend to. The Raphael is also way too big for what I would do normal miniature painting brush. This would be great for large models or if you're painting vehicles or something, but it's just very, very large. It is nicer than the Maestro though. I think it's a better brush of the two this size for sure. And that leaves these three. The Da Vinci, what's it called here? Da Vinci Ussuri Sable, the Escoda, and the Series 7. The Series 7 is excellent. It's a great brush. I was worried. People talk online that the quality's gone down over the years or they've kind of lost their way. But the standard, not the miniature brand, the standard Series 7 is still excellent, made in England. The Da Vinci Ussuri, really, really good brush. It's actually not too expensive, the German-made brush. It also has a nice thick handle there if you prefer a thicker handle. Right up to the Series 7. The one I think is my favorite after the first, 10 minutes here, is the Escoda Reserva Kolinsky Tajmyr, Tajmyr. This is their highest end brush they make. The size 1 is exactly what I picture a size 1 to be. It kept its point beautifully and the paint really flowed. So that'd be my recommendation of these 7 so far, but I'm going to keep playing with them and see what I like after a few days. Thanks.